Hey everybody, good afternoon and welcome passengers. We'll be currently boarding for flight 325. So today's flight is approximately 15 minutes. So seat back in your chair in upright position and buckle up and let's go ahead and get started. So for today's topic, we are going to be talking about aiR for review. And so what is aiR for review? So it's using generative AI. It's Relativity One's aiR for review. Predicts coding decisions and supports those predictions with a rationale, consideration, and document citations. It's supported by detailed reasoning similar to which a senior attorney would leverage when making coding decisions. So what does that look like? So an attorney basically is going to describe the matter. So they're going to put in matter overview, people and aliases, noteworthy organizations and terms. And so aiR will come back with a rationale and consideration. So the rationale, think of it as the reason why it thinks it's responsive, and the consideration is why it would be potentially incorrect. And then also we'll link citations within that particular document, and you'll see as they are on the right-hand side, they're highlighted. And just like, what does that workflow look like? So you really have inputs and outputs. So your inputs are going to be the attorney information, the subject matter expert provided prompt criteria, which we'll show in just a few moments. Of course, your documents, the text of those documents is what is getting analyzed. And then the output's going to be your rationale, your consideration, the recommendation, and the citations that are highlighted. And then there's a validation process as well. So what are the types of aiR for review? First, you have the responsiveness. Of course, is it responsive, is it not responsive? Issue coding, so you can have up to 5 different issue codes that'll run through one prompt. And then key documents, which some folks will also call hot docs. And so what does that look like on the screen? So you'll see on the top left where the recommendation, the thumbs up, that's going to be whether it tells you if it's responsive or not responsive. You have the rationale, so it's going to just kind of back that up why it thinks it's responsive. The consideration is the counter argument to that, and then also the document citations. And so that would be for your relevance, your hot docs, or your issues. It would have that same type of information. So as far as what are good use cases for it, we see a lot of people use first pass review, also kickstarting a review process, kind of running some type of QC. Gaining some early insights and analyzing incoming production information, and also uncovering materials for an internal investigation. When building out your prompt criteria, I think one of the a great thing to reference a song, one of the hits from 1966. It's Aaron Neville's "Tell It Like It Is," and so first is just a few lines. Tell it like it is. Don't be ashamed to let your conscience be your guide. So when you're filling out that prompt information and you have all those different screens, the tendency is maybe to write a bunch of information and not concise and straightforward. So we just want to kind of get straight to the point and kind of use straightforward English skills that we learned when we were in kind of elementary, middle school, high school, college. My time is too expensive. So if you think of it from, using something like a contract attorney, you're spending $40 an hour and they're reviewing, say, 40 documents an hour, right? Simple math, one document per minute, or 40 documents in an hour. So sorry about that. So you're basically, you can save a lot of money by doing it this way. And then life is too short. And so just from the fact, May is Mental Health Awareness Month, have to tie that back in, save yourself the time, focus on things that are more important, whether work or at home. And hopefully everybody was singing that song as they were, as I was going through it. And as far as like early insights from aiR, there's basically been 5 statistical significant experiences. And they achieve recall above 85%, and in 3 of them above 95%. So pretty accurate, pretty great results. And so as far as from a privacy standpoint, how does that work? The prompts, and so the inputs and the outputs, your embeddings and training information, they're not available to other customers. They're not used to improve open API models. They're not available to open API. And they're not used to improve any Microsoft product or third-party product or service. So just as an FYI. And so Relativity has an agreement with Microsoft in place for that. The architecture, just kind of overview, a little technical diagram. So the user puts in their user inputs, and they provide that information to aiR from the workspace, and then over to Azure Open API, and the information comes back. And as you can see in the dark blue, no data stored or retained. And so Relativity has different AI principles. So they're AI with a purpose that delivers value for their customers, with clarity, control, fairness, privacy, security, and accountability. So just going to do a quick look here. So going to flip this open and share a different screen. So we're going to pull up our demo aiR for review. So aiR for review is a mass edit command for those that are familiar. So in this workspace, I have 118 total documents, as you can see down at the bottom. Also says all 118 here. If we go in, and we'll see our aiR for review as our mass command. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. It's going to bring up this dialog box. And so this dialog box is going to ask for certain pieces of information, and we'll just kind of walk through those screens. First is a prompt criteria or name. So if you've used some type of similar program, it's going to store that information within this workspace, and so you'll be able to reference it. So anything that you've done previously, you'll be able to reload if you need to go ahead and do that. So if you're running multiple iterations or different types of review, you can reference that material back. The analysis types that we talked about, so you have relevance, our relevance, and our key docs, and then issues. Those are different types that are available. And then also, if you're running a small subset of data, kind of like to kind of grab maybe a sample of 50 documents, you'll have the ability to fast track that. So it's basically like, best thing I can think of, considering that I am wearing a pilot's hat, is having clear or TSA pre-check, where you can basically skip the line and go to the front with your documents. So we'll give you some workflow benefits to that. We jump over to our case summary information. We have our matter overview, and so this will just give us some key pieces of information. As I noted before, you want to kind of keep it straight and to the point. One of the great things, if you're filling this out empty for the first time, is Relativity gives you some information kind of in the background, and so you can use that as a template if you're unsure how to get started. But if you have a reviewer protocol in place and you wanted to kind of pull some information off of that, it's a great place to go ahead and do that. So we have our matter overview, some people and aliases. So just some examples here, we can have names or nicknames, email addresses, phone numbers, all those different types of information to kind of note who an individual is and what their kind of like identifying information is. Also, we have noteworthy organizations. So, in this particular case, all this data is about Tigers. So Clemson Tigers, LSU Tigers, Detroit Tigers, and so all Tiger mascots. And then some noteworthy terms, just animal cruelty, abuse, neglect, and so forth. If there's any kind of additional context as well, you can put that down there. One note for noteworthy terms also, if you have any acronyms or something that wouldn't be straightforward and understood, you can definitely add in that information as well. So once we enter in that information, we're going to pop over to our relevance. And so this is where we're going to tell it which field to choose and then what choice to choose. And so we can fill in some information about relevance and what that looks like. So just type in a few sentences. We're going to stick around that 5 to 7 to 10 different sentences to kind of describe that type of information. And then key documents as well, or hot documents is what we call it in this particular database. Fill in what that criteria would look like as well. And so once I would click Save and Next, it's going to take us to, it's calculating the statistics behind the scenes. And so we can see this is 118 documents. Because of the way that it's structured from a billing perspective by a character count, it will be 208 documents, and so it'll start immediately, and so the runtime will be about 7 minutes. So just gives you an idea of how long it will take, but it does come back on a rolling basis. So essentially it's sending the prompt criteria, the text, analyzing it, and coming back. So we could go ahead and click Start, wait our 7 minutes. Thankfully, we're only on a 15-minute demo, so want to save us as much time as possible, not watch the paint dry. So we went ahead and we created a few different views that we have here. And so first up, we're just going to showcase the aiR for review responsiveness field that we have. You of course see our control number and then our aiR fields that we have available here. So first up, you're going to see that prediction. So whether it's not responsive, responsive, very responsive, you're going to see this scoring over here as well. So the not responsive correlates to 1, responsive 3, borderline 2, and the scoring ranges from -1 to 4. So -1 is files that aired out, 0 files that are considered junk. 1 and 2 are going to be not responsive to various degrees, and 3 and 4 are going to be responsive, 4 being the most responsive. It's going to give us that rationale, so that information about why it thinks that it is not responsive or responsive, the considerations, and also those citations as well. So you can go ahead and see all those. Just going to go and filter on some of the documents that we have here. Oops. Helps to actually filter on the right field. There we go. Perfect. All right, so we filter on our document that we want to show as an example. And so over here on the left, you're going to see we have our aiR for review analysis. You can see we can toggle this on and off. It's going to tell us what it thinks that it is, so it's responsive. The rationale, so the document is responsive as it discusses the treatment of tigers and other big cats in private zoos and sanctuaries and the controversy surrounding those practices. Also highlights the conflict between Joe Exotic and Carol Baskin, who accuses Joe Exotic of abusing and exploiting wild animals. So you see in the Netflix documentary, you know exactly what I'm talking about, that whole saga back and forth with Joe Exotic and Carol Baskin and their treatment of animals. And so it also would give us a consideration as well. So this document does not directly address the specific legal issues or cases mentioned in the review protocol. It also doesn't mention any specific entities or people listed in the review protocol. So it's telling us, hey, this is why we think it's responsive. This is why we don't think, it, potentially could be wrong. So Joe Exotic, if we kind of go back and didn't point this out too far in depth, but he's not listed as one of the key entities. So it's kind of giving you that information for you. And so you can go ahead and click on the citations, and as you see, it's kind of driving right to that particular piece of information, right to that document. So you can kind of navigate it, get the context of some other information around that, and some other information as well. So this is also hot docs. So give you the same type of information, that rationale and consideration of why it's not a hot doc, baseball, football. And so these are the different issues that we have set up and ran as well. Give you another example here. So there's another tiger, of course, that some people be very familiar with, Tiger Woods, who I did not know Tiger was not his real name. It's Eldrick Taunt. That's an interesting fact that I've learned recently, or Fred forgot. And so in our prompting information, we basically said, is a document relevant? A document is relevant if it's, mentions Tiger Woods or discusses Tiger Woods, or Tony the Tiger. Yes, the guy from the Kellogg's Frosted Flakes. And so this says, hey, it's responsive as it provides information about Tiger Woods, a person of interest, which we literally told it is, what it should be interested in. And then also the consideration piece as well. So that's basically saying, like, well, it discusses Tiger Woods and doesn't provide any of the other information. So I may want to go back and take this, and I may want to, kind of like look at my prompt information and go, okay, well, if Tiger Woods is that important, I probably should readjust my matter overview, or if he's not, maybe I should take it out of the relevance piece. So just different types of workflows. So what we end up finding folks doing is they're kind of taking a subset, that 50 documents, using that fast track feature, kind of either reviewing in advance or reviewing after, kind of get a general idea of what aiR for review is telling it, finding out more information about the documents, just like you would do in a typical kind of review protocol with reviewers, and then going back and iterating and adjusting on additional subset of information there. So right, perfect. So I'm going to flip back over to my presentation. And so I'm going to go ahead and take any questions. So if you want to put them in the chat or in the question box, happy to go ahead and showcase those. All right, perfect. Oops. Perfect. There we go. All right, perfect. All right, so let me try to see what questions we have coming in here. Most questions. All right, perfect. So first question, do you apply filters kind of before or after? So the recommendations kind of to do your, if you have like a date range you want to apply to a subset or some search terms, definitely go ahead and apply those up front. So aiR for Review only works in a review workspace. So those that are familiar with the kind of like repository ECA workflow, you can't use aiR for Review up front there. So you have to use it in review. So I'd recommend kind of filtering that information up front. Let's see, can you run aiR against incoming productions? Absolutely. So if you have, a few hundred documents, a few thousand documents, right, you may be looking for certain pieces of information. So outside of running search terms, if you've kind of reviewed some subsets, has some information, you can supply that and run it against just that universe of data versus kind of like the entirety of the data set. Can I repeat the scoring range? Absolutely. So -1 is anything that airs out, and the top end of the spectrum is going to be 4, which is going to be like very relevant, very responsive. And then in between, so 0, you're going to have anything that's labeled as junk. 1 and 2 are going to be your non-responsives, and then 3 or 4 are going to be responsives. Text limitations, great question. So the recommended is 150 kilobytes or less. However, the kind of the maximum is currently 500 kilobytes or less per document. Let's see. That's perfect. Yes. Yes, for somebody that was on a demo with me, yes, I did sing Aaron Neville's Tell It Like It Is. Sure, I can do it again. Tell it like it is. There you go. You're welcome. So this is built on GPT-4 Turbo. It's not built on the one that was like literally released yesterday, the day before, 4.0 Chat GPT 4.0. I'm sure once Relativity incorporates that, it's going to have some absolutely amazing features kind of built into it. So definitely want to note that. Let's see, what other questions do we have? Speed, it's really dependent on the prompt input and the text of the document. It could be anywhere between like 10 and 30-ish documents an hour. So, I mean, you really could theoretically be looking at like 50,000 documents over a 24-hour period. Unlike humans, right, the machine doesn't need to sleep or take breaks. So it'll just continually churn through. It's also just like a reviewer, it's pulling back the results on a one-by-one basis, right? So it's taking your prompt information, the text of the document, submitting, receiving, and then just kind of doing that on a loop. There's also the fast track, yep. So that's just like the clear TSA, absolutely. Let me see if there's any other questions that popped up. All right, I do not see any others. Great. All right, perfect. Well, I just want to take the time. So I know we let a few minutes early, just like flights, sometimes that does happen. So I wanted to thank you all for for taking the time out today. Just a few other notes. Get in touch with us, contact us. You can see, I'm sure you've read it on the screen by now. If not, we're giving away 1,000 free aiR credits per client by way of reaching out to us through this beautiful QR code. So take out your phones. If you've never had a QR code before, take out the picture feature, click on the screen on the QR code to bring up a link you can hit, and then it'll probably most likely send me an email. You can tell me this was great or awful. Must be used by August 1st, 2024, and there's some other certain conditions as well. But thank you all for attending, and just so you are aware, June is going to be PI Detect, so definitely would recommend joining that, because it's going to be absolutely phenomenal, and let's continue on this spree of learning. So thank you all for your time, definitely appreciate it.